Welcome back to God's Truth Daily, and let's see today's verse. Today's verse, or actually, never mind, Sunday's verse. Yes, I wasn't able to get a video out yesterday, Sunday, May 28th, so I'm doing two today. So Sunday's verse was Jeremiah 1:5. You'll find out today's verse in the next video, which will be also today. So Jeremiah 1:5, which is yesterday's verse, says, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as my prophet to the nations. So, what I want to do first is read Jeremiah 1:4 because that also goes along with this verse. That verse says, the Lord gave me this message. So if you put them together, it says, the Lord gave me this message. I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as my prophet to the nations. So, of course, Jeremiah is talking in verse 4, and in verse 5, that's God or the Lord talking to Jeremiah. So the first parts of the verse, which say, I knew before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart. They apply to everyone. God knew us before He formed us in our mother's womb. And before we were born, God set us apart as a unique person, unlike everyone else in this world. Yes. And in the last part of the verse, it applies to only to certain people, like Jeremiah, which says, and appointed you as my prophet to nations. Only certain people are chosen to God. No, chosen from God, chosen by God to be His prophet. That's what I meant to say. So because of that, not everyone will have the same gifts. So if you don't have a gift that someone else has, then God gave you a different gift. Like if someone speaks in tongues and you're like, oh, God doesn't love me. He didn't give me the gift of speaking in tongues. Really, he doesn't give me any gifts. He doesn't love me. But that's not true. God still does love you, but He just gave you a different gift. He didn't give you no gifts at all. He just gave you a different gift. You may not be happy about that, but God still gave you a different gift because He appointed you to do something. So God knew all of us before He formed us in our mother's womb. And before we were born, He set us apart for whatever gift He gave us. But for Jeremiah, He set him apart and appointed him as a prophet to the nations, as God's prophet to the nations. So, exactly, not everyone will have the same gifts. That's pretty much all it is for Jeremiah 1:5. That was Jeremiah 1:5, and again, that says, I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as my prophet to the nations. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn your post notifications on to be notified when I upload every day, sometimes twice a day if I miss the day before or whatever. Remember that not everyone has the same gift. Not halves. Goodness, do I need to go back to kindergarten or something? Okay. So, not everyone will have the same gifts. So, if you don't have a gift, don't get mad at God for it. Just acknowledge that He will give you a different gift. He appointed Jeremiah as a prophet. That doesn't mean He will appoint you as a prophet. He might appoint you as something else. I don't know. But again, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later today in my other video. And after that, I'll see you tomorrow.